Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Osoyoos regular open meeting of council, October the 8th, 2024, in council chambers. And before we start the meeting, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the error that was sent out in the e-news and in the Times Chronicle about the 5-year financial plan amendment. 1386.01 2024. That was actually an amendment to the financial plan. It was concerning a fire truck that had been ordered, and the fire truck came in early, so we had to amend the plan so that we could pay for the fire truck early. We weren't expecting it until next year. We're very sorry that this was confusing for people, and we apologize for not having adjusted this error before people arrived at council. So I apologize, but this is not on the agenda today. There will be several meetings which will be available for people to attend, and it's quite it'll be put out on e-news, and we will certainly make sure that it's people have lots of opportunity to see that. So thank you for understanding. I will now go to the approval of the agenda. And are there any late items? No, thank you. Could we have a motion, please, to approve the agenda? Thank you, Councillor Poderica, Councillor Chong. All in. Is that included? It's included in here, so we don't have to, it's on the agenda already, or do I have to? Thank you. Thank you. That's good. All right. So it's moved and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. And the adoption of some minutes, the regular open minutes from September the 24th, 2024. Could I have a motion to accept those? Councillor Bennett, Councillor Poderica, all in favor? Thank you. So we will go down to first thing on our agenda here. Staff reports. The Osoyoos Junior Hockey Partnering Agreement. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before you is a recommendation that council authorizes a partnering agreement for a 3-year term with the Osoyoos Junior Hockey Incorporated for the sale of advertising on the center ice clock, and that the town signatories be authorized to sign the agreement. This was brought before council at September the 10th. We came back here now with a partnering agreement and also an amendment in the original agreement to say that this was part of the agreement for them to do this. We actually invested, even though our clock was free, about $25,000 to $30,000 on this particular piece of equipment. And we have an opportunity to sell up to $16,000 worth of advertising, 60% of which will be retained by the town and 40% which will be provided to the Junior B team. And this is before council today.
Can I just point out as well that the Junior B hockey team will retain 100% of the revenue collected on board advertising. So those are two separate.
That is correct.
Yeah,
yes.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor King.
I'll move option 1.
That they authorize the partnering agreement. Okay, is there a seconder? Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much, Mr. Davis. And you're on again for Desert Park Recreational Facility.
Speedy as I am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Before you is a recommendation that council direct administration to move forward with the roof repairs, which includes exterior door replacement, squash court improvements as identified in the 2024 budget, and that council include funding for capital improvements for the next 5 years with plans to close the facility in 2034, subject to operating the facility safely without putting patrons and staff in danger. This was part of our asset management program. this is one of the facilities that we're actually utilizing to bring forward at this time. One is because we use this facility right now for programming. And even though it was already approved through our budget process to make these improvements on this building, we felt administratively that we wanted to make sure that council understood where we're going to go with this facility. There was a number of items that'll need upgrading, and they've been listed. Some of these items are more important than others, but we put this in here just to show council exactly where we are, what's going to need to be done in the near future. Once we get to that point, there's going to be a time when we actually are not going to, it's not going to be beneficial to keep improving this facility. But right now, because we actually use this for programming, this is the road that we're trying to pursue.
Thank you. So you've outlined the capital budget for the next 5 years, 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. And in order to keep the facility working, there are some things that will need to be done each year as part of the budget.
That is correct.
Yeah. And I suppose we had to sort of expect that this building would likely need to be replaced at some point. Several things have been done over the years, the grandstands, the electrical inside the building, and so that's the plan. Council, anybody have any concerns about this? Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I support option one, but just the first sentence, not the 5-year capital, just to spend that 110,000, which kind of we passed already last year. It just has delayed till we had that asset management completed. So I would just move the first half of number one.
So only the identified parts in 2024?
Yes.
Anybody else have any thoughts on this? Go ahead.
Thank you,
Mr.
Madam Mayor.
Davis.
One of the reasons we wanted to identify what the next 4 years are going to bring is because if we spend $110,000 this year, we're going to have to spend something in the next couple of years. We're not going to be able to leave it at nothing. So one of the reasons the recommendation is saying what it is, this may not be exact because until we go to our 2025, 2026, 2027 budget, some of these may not come to fruition. The most important ones obviously are emergency repairs and stuff like that. But if we're going to keep the facility open and have something for the future, we're going to need to have some kind of funding as we move forward.
Thank you. Councillor Chung?
Thank you. So I attended the Parks Master Plan, was it the open house, along with Councillor Bennett and Councillor King, and also filled out the questionnaire. And one of the options is potentially to move the senior center up to the Desert Park building, and also build potentially a multicultural or multi-use facility, maybe all in one. In that case, I'm assuming the current building would be demolished and a new building will be built.
Yeah, that is correct.
So my understanding is the survey closes on the 11th.
Yep.
At which point I think it would be prudent maybe to have a look at what the data says and what the residents would like to prioritize before we make a decision here. Because if it's a case where a vast majority of respondents would like to see maybe a new building in that area, then putting $80,000 towards a roof replacement only for it to be torn down in arbitrarily speaking 5 years doesn't seem like a good return on investment. So
The safety, if we continue to use it at all, does that?
Yes.
Go ahead.
That is correct, Madam Mayor. some of the concepts, and obviously the Parks Master Plan until it's actually approved through council, some of these are 10, 15, 20 years down the road. So that was the feeling on this, you know, a 10-year span, even putting up to 5 years in here and then having that opportunity to be a little bit more flexible. And maybe I should have been a little bit more clear in that because it does relate back to that for sure.
Councillor King and then Councillor Chong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I got no problem spending the 110,000. It's just when you move forward, just about 400,000 over the next 2 years is what I struggle with when we really don't know till we finish the master plan, whether in the parks plan, which direction we're going. So again, I can fully support for safety factor, the 110, but I really can't move forward with the rest of it.
Can I ask about, before Councillor Chung, the roof, is that, if that's the 80,000, which is a lot of money. If we're not going to continue with it, we're not sure yet, is it appropriate to spend that kind of money on the roof right now? And is there a reason why it has to be done right now? Like this year, that's obviously it's in the 2024 budget. Can you explain what the concerns are?
Yes, Madam Mayor. When I actually put the capital report together last year, I included a couple of pictures. We've had some water penetration in the building, obviously. We did do some repairs, and even with the repairs that we had, the windstorm that we had just recently, especially, it's down to the bare wood again on the roof. So it's already been way past its life expectancy, the roof. The building itself would still have, you know, some remaining value. But that's why this was brought forward for the roof, especially even last year.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the pictures, the roof is way beyond where it should be. And we did have some water penetration and we dealt with it. We actually had some repairs done, but it's way beyond just repair now.
Thank you. Councillor Chung.
No, I agree with Councillor King, where we focus on the high criticality aspects, which, as it has been abundantly made clear, the roof is a key aspect of that. So I agree. I think passing the 110 for 2024 so that the building can still be used safely while we develop a plan for potential building replacement, which is going to take time as well. I think that would be the best use of taxpayer money.
Thank you. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you. I'll just echo the same thing that I think that the other, this year is fine. I would second that motion. And the other 4 years after that, that's when we look at it in budget time. And you put it on your wish list then.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
That would have been my other comment, Madam Mayor. So even though we're asking for, you know, this to move forward, even if it addresses the fact that we can bring this forward at budget time, you know, for debate, etc., would be as good, not the best.
So can I just ask, if we decided to okay this, when would the roof be repaired? Is it essential that it be done as soon as possible?
That is
That's
correct.
right.
We have a couple of quotes already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Sorry,
Can
go
I just
ahead.
make one more
Yes.
comment? So as we develop our asset management plan, we actually haven't, you know, allocated any funds for replacement of this building. So if this building, in fact, was, you know, had a 10-year lifespan and it was worth $5 to $7 million, you know, we should be putting some money away each year just for that replacement. And we haven't even looked at that. We have 13 other buildings, some of which will come forward in a similar fashion, more as a full report to address what the condition is and if they should stay open or, you know, other action taken, because at some point they're not going to be able to be used. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, thank you. I get it. So Councillor King, you've made a motion. Do you want to speak to
Yeah,
it
I
again?
speak- I
Okay.
guess you could bring that comment up at budget time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a motion on the floor.
So the motion on the floor is that the council direct administration to move forward with the roof repairs, exterior door replacement, and squash court improvements as identified in the 2024 budget. Is that correct? And Councillor Bennett is seconding that? Yes. Is there any other? Go ahead, Councillor Chong.
Just one final question. If the roof is not replaced, would we then have to basically shut down that building so that it would not be usable for the public or anyone, period?
Madam Mayor, to Councillor Chong, I would think at some point between now and say Christmas, depending on the weather, we would probably have to close the facility.
And we have several groups that have signed up to use this for, certainly for the next year.
That is correct.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at the motion that's on the floor, and it's to continue with improvements for the 2024 budget. And I'm going to call the question. All in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Next is the general net payroll Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. General cash requirements of as of October the 8th of $306,667.55. Sun Bowl cash requirements of $4,707.67. And net payroll accounts for $115,288.48. So could we have a motion to accept this for information or to request more information? Number one? Okay. Is there a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Chong, all in favor? Thank you. And next is the building report for September 2024. And we have Mariposa asking for a sanitary drain repipe at $2 million. And Convivia is doing a creation of a new washroom and patio at $35,000. That total for 2024 is at $16,613,460, which is $1 million more than last year at this same time. So we're okay with that. Anybody want to move the acceptance of this? Thank you very much. Councillor Chong, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. Board of Variance bylaw, then that would be Ms. Duong.
So I don't have a formal presentation with respect to this item today. It is just a follow-up from the last council meeting wherein council had given first, second, and third reading to the proposed Board of Variance bylaw. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Yes, we have discussed this quite a few times, and it was given the first, second, and third reading. So what we're looking at today is for the Town of Vesuvius Board of Variance bylaw be adopted. There's someone who would like to make that. Councillor King, Councillor Chong. Any questions of Ms. Duong? No? All in favor? Thank you very much. And next, the municipal ticket information bylaw amendments, and that's Mr. Garish. Thank you.
So I do have a presentation, which we'll just
Okay.
wait for it to come up. It's a quick one, hopefully. So I'll just start with just some quick background for council's benefit. So under provincial legislation, specifically Section 264 of the Community Charter, local governments such as the town of Vesuvius can implement bylaws to allow for ticketing of offenses. The town did so in 2011 with its current municipal ticketing information bylaw number 1279. And that bylaw applies to, from what I could tell based on the schedules, to approximately 29 different bylaws the council has adopted over the years, 2 of which are up for consideration today in terms of the schedules that relate to the zoning bylaw. as well as the foreshore and lake zoning bylaw. So, and I apologize, this is a very text-heavy image at right, but it basically shows the structure of the bylaw, which is important because, of course, it lists offenses for which town officials can ticket. But in order to properly ticket, it has to reference the section number of the bylaw and also the fine that can be leveled by the town in relation to that specific offense. And for people who are ticketed by the town, there is the option for them to dispute that, and that's generally through provincial court. Now, of course, as the council's aware, the new zoning bylaw was recently adopted. That was a strategic priority that came out of the OCP in 2022. Took us 2 years to get it to adoption in September. And because there is the new bylaw now, of course, thinking back to that slide I just showed with the columns and the offenses and the section numbers, we now have new zone titles, new categories, new types of uses, as well as new section numbers that aren't reflected in the MTI bylaw. And then the other important part about the zoning bylaw review, of course, was that the decision was made to roll the foreshore and lake zoning bylaw review into it, and instead of maintaining 2 bylaws, to maintain 1 bylaw. So it's important that the MTI bylaw is updated to reflect this new regulatory landscape, if you will, within the town. And so to do that, we're proposing that an amendment bylaw be initiated and council consider first reading today. And that updates Schedule 23 to the MTI bylaw, which is the references to the zoning bylaw. And that I believe it's section 27 be deleted, which is the reference to the foreshore and lake zoning bylaw. And again, that's in recognition that that bylaw is now incorporated within the main zoning bylaw. So really, at the end of the day, I see it more as a housekeeping amendment, but a vitally important one, because in the absence of those changes, it impairs the town's ability to issue tickets for offenses against that zoning bylaw. So there's 2 options before council. Obviously, the first one would be to consider first reading and potentially second and third at the same time for the amendment bylaw number 1279.24, or that the status quo prevail and that the bylaw not be initiated. Staff's recommendation obviously is that the bylaw be given first reading. And that's it for my presentation, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garish. Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Councillor
Thank you,
King.
Madam Mayor. No, I'll move option number 1 for second,
Okay.
third reading.
First, second, and third reading today. Yeah, and it's been seconded by Councillor Poderica. Any other concerns? All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, and then the next one is the permissive tax exemption bylaw, and 13972024, and it is coming up for adoption today. Yes. Is there anybody that needs? It's all in there. Mr. Zackel explained what was going on the last meeting. They are all to be exempted from taxation for the year 2025, and there are quite a few of them in there. Anybody have any concerns about this one? So I will then call the question. All in favor of this? Sorry. Oh, would mover and a seconder. Who moved it? You moved? Seconded? Thank you.
Question?
Yes,
I like
sorry about
asking- I
that.
like asking questions. Thank you,
Sure.
Madam Mayor. We exempt all these from taxes, and then is their water and sewer exempt also? Or do they pay that separately?
That's a separate charge.
Thank you.
So this is just the municipal taxes that, yeah, okay. So they have to pay those. Thank you. So all in favor? Oh, go ahead, sorry. I'll take that back.
Thank you. For the permissive tax bylaw, is there a stipulation that it has to be like a nonprofit organization, or can it also be like a private corporation?
I know there's some stipulations regarding nonprofits. Now, if council chooses to give some benefit to a corporation, there's a whole another process. You can enter into agreements, as we did with the Coyotes. So that's the process to give financial benefits to businesses. It's a whole different process, and you've got to illustrate that there's a benefit also to the municipality as a whole. So you can't provide corporations with this unless there's an agreement in place. And that's a whole advertising process and a whole separate process.
Thank you.
Okay.
I was just asked a question. I didn't have a
Mhm.
clear answer, so I just
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that was clarified. Thank you.
Okay, so we are moved and seconded that, the permissive tax exemption bylaw be adopted. All in favor? Thank you very much. So that's carried. Next, we have some council meeting reports for, all of us. We all went to UBCM, and there is a per diem when we are out of the town for that day or any of those days. And so we were there for 5 and 6 days. So what we need is a motion, please, that the Mayor McCordoff's expense account for 500, Councillor Bennett's expense account for 600, Councillor Chong's expense account for 500, Councillor King's expense account for 500, and Councillor Potterica's expense account for 500 be approved. Someone like to make that? Thank you. Councillor Potterica as their seconder. Councillor Bennett. All in favor? Thank you very much. Okay, next is the notice of motion. So there's not that, but reports from committees and the committee of the whole. So this morning, we had some motions from the committee of the whole. The first one is moved by Councillor Chong, seconded by Councillor King, that council write a letter regarding the lack of parking at Kelowna General Hospital and Penticton Regional Hospital to Interior Health, Okanagan-Similkameen Hospital District, Southern Interior Local Government Association, and the Ministry of Health. So we need a motion to bring that out, and we need a mover and a seconder. Councillor King, Councillor Potterica, all in favor. Thank you. The next one, and that council write a letter regarding the lack of parking at Kelowna General, Penticton Regional Hospital, Okanagan-Similkameen Hospital District, and Southern Interior Local Government and Ministry of Health. Next one. It was moved by Councillor Chong, seconded by Councillor Bennett, that the committee of the whole recommend that council approve the amended strategic priorities chart with the following changes by bringing a scope and costs for a pilot project for low-speed vehicles and a speed limit reduction to the planning and development operational strategies as contained in attachment 3. And that was carried, or do we need to do a motion on that now? Okay, so we need a motion. Councillor Chong, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. Next one, moved by Councillor Chong, seconded by Councillor Bennett, that the committee of the whole recommend that council approve the amended strategic priorities chart with the following change by expanding the scope of the mixed housing strategies to include other funding models, partnerships, and opportunities under operational strategies, planning and development, and moving the date to June 2025 as contained in attachment 3. So could we have a motion on that, please? Councillor Chong, Councillor Potterica, all in favor. Thank you. And from the same meeting this morning, moved by Councillor Chong, seconded by Councillor Potterica, that the committee of the whole recommend the council approve the infrastructure strategy by amending to the infrastructure and adding looking regionally when asset renewals are completed as contained in attachment 2. That's okay. Councillor Chong, Councillor Potterica, all in favor. Thank you very much. So those all came from the open COW meeting this morning. Next is the airport committee meeting from May the 27th, 2024. Councillor Potterica, as you were there, do you want to say anything about it, or would you? Yeah. It was, yeah. Is there anything that needs to be added or included in that, or?
Just looking up here. So yeah, so CEO Risley, myself, as well as the Associated Airport Development Society met. Back in May, we actually did just meet last week, but meeting again next week. But nothing added to this report other than that. The Associated Airport Development Society continues working with True Consulting on developing their master plan.
Good. And I think you said this one was on May the 27th. So I think you said the next one was in the next week or so?
Yeah, so this one was approved the last meeting last week, so that's why it's before council.
Oh, I see. Okay. Thank you very much. So we need to, could we say that the Airport Advisory Committee minutes from May the 27th be received for
I have a
information?
question.
Yes? Go ahead.
To Councillor Puerto Rico, how many people are on the board?
I'm not aware of what Oates has on theirs, but on the development committee, it's the four of us. So myself, the CAO, and the two representatives from their board.
Okay. So I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Need a seconder? Mr. Councillor Puerto Rico, you're seconding? Okay, all in favor? Thanks. All right, now we'll go back to the CAO report. Mr. Risling, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So an update and maybe some action items coming up here. So I think everybody's aware that the Park Master Plan, there was an open house and it was attended. You can still provide comments to October the 11th. We encourage people to look at the website and respond, because that information is taken into consideration and will be incorporated into the final draft. And just there have been some comments with regards to the size of some of the pictures. If you do go on the website, there is a link that goes to each of the opportunities or the proposed drawings, and it is the full page of the screen. So just look at there's a separate tab or a separate button, and it will bring you to a full page picture of the proposed opportunities. Another reminder, the Resort Municipality Initiative and Community Service Grant Program applications are available online. That closes the end of the month. We just want to thank staff for helping out with the important initiative of the RCMP and the Osoyoos Rotary on the life jacket loaner station that is available. I think the more we can talk about that, the better. It's an important safety piece. We're on the lake and we want people to enjoy what we have. We had the RDOS within the Sun Bowl recently. They're doing a renewable energy audit, and so they're looking at the facility, and hopefully there's some opportunities there for long-term savings. So we'll see what that brings about. Bylaw enforcement is dealing with a lot of long-standing issues as the tourist season is coming to a close. We're able to get caught up on some long-standing issues that have been taking a little bit of the back burner of the last couple months. That's a good thing. Positive side, tax sale was canceled as all the properties met their financial obligation. From the fire department, it's Fire Prevention Week, October 6th to October 12th. There's going to be a recruitment drive for volunteers, as well as an open house on October 12th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. New business licenses, Dave Hastings Services, which is a handyman maintenance business, Annex Asbestos Training, Okanagan Limited, new business, and Pizza Hut. And I think that just about covers it.
Thank you very much. Could we have a motion to receive the CAO report for information? Councillor Chong, Councillor Puerto Rico. All in favor? Thank you. We'll go on to council reports, and first one is Councillor Chong.
Thank you. Little busy this time around. Would again like to congratulate Sergeant Beta and Rotary Club and acknowledge all the volunteers for the initiative of the safe boating station. It opened last week. Time's all blur. Yeah, and it was a beautiful station, and it's great to see that it is being used. So it's another positive step towards preventing any tragedy in the lake. Also attended the Incommute Truth and Reconciliation event. Great event. No, so thank you. Attended the Parks Master Plan open house as well. Also want to highlight that the design boards for all the options are also available in the lobby of Sonora Center, so they are much larger as well. And also there's a table with all the paper copies for the surveys as well. So as much feedback as possible is always great because then we have more data to work with. Also attended the butterfly run in Kelowna on Saturday, and the butterfly run, the focus is basically on those who have suffered loss in the journey of parenthood. And I mentioned this because Osoyoos's own Katrina Yorson McCaskill is one of the co-chairs for the event, and it was incredibly successful, second year. And also it was great to see Osoyoos Fire and Rescue representation there. So hats off to a great event, and it'd be great to see it grow even further and to see something maybe in Osoyoos. But that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Poderica.
Thank you, Your Worship. My report kind of echoes Councillor Chong's. On the 27th, attended with the rest of council the safe voting station unveiling. 28th, we attended the Inkeep Cellars Indian Residential School Survivor Society fundraiser. And then October 1st, myself and CEO Risling met with Odes for our regular airport committee meeting. And that's my report.
Thank you. Councillor King.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 26th, I attended Accessibility and Age Friendly. They are moving forward with the few projects that we passed for funding, so that's great to hear. Again, with the rest of council, we were all at the Safe Boat Station unveiling. I think that's a great initiative, and thanks to Rotary and the RCMP and everybody else that supported that, along with the rest. We all attended the Incoming Sellers fundraiser on Saturday night. And the one interesting day, I guess, was the RDOS on the 3rd. They have long meetings. They're very interesting. They go from 9 in the morning to about 4 in the afternoon. But what was really interesting, we took a little break and we were able to go across the street, and all the safety equipment in the area, I mean, search and rescue, fire department, and everybody else was there. So it was kind of nice to see all the equipment that's available for the safety of all the communities. That's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended the same events, the opening of the safe boating and the residential school fundraiser. And also on October 7th, I attended the Trails of the Okanogans meeting last night. And basically, we're going to have our AGM on November 23rd in the new library in West Kelowna. If anybody's interested, it starts at 2:30. And that's to promote the bike trail and hiking trail from Bennett Dam or Bennett Bridge to the U.S. border. That's my report.
Thank you very much. So everybody's reported on the Parks Master Plan, the Safe Boating Station, in Keneep Cellars fundraiser. And so I will leave those off. I was also at those, but I had a meeting for 3 days or 2.5 days last week with the International Osoyoos Lake Board of Control, where I'm a director, and went curling the first night, and I haven't been curling for many years, and so that was interesting. But it was fun. And then we had our annual meeting the following day on the Thursday, and our board meeting, and then an annual meeting which was held this year in Oroville. And on Friday morning, we went out, took a boat tour out on the lake to have a look at several things, actually. We went to the river channel. We had 4 boats out on the lake, and I put on one of the new life jackets, and several members of the group, because there was about 20 of us, also put on life jackets, so they were well used. And Don Urquhart from the Times Chronicle came down and took a picture of all of us with our life jackets on. So that was a really good use of the life jackets, and I made sure they were all hung up again at the end, so that's okay. Anyway, we went out on the lake, and Friday was not a warm day, and we were dressed in, I had a scarf, gloves, boots, a coat, jacket, and I was still frozen at the end of 3 hours. But anyway, we went up to the head of the lake, looking at all of the properties, because it is a different view when you see things from the lake looking out, and saw the river channel, and also went to the Environment and Climate Change Canada buoy that is out there at the north end. There's also one at the south end of the lake, not in the American side, the south end of the Canadian side. And we had a look at that. It's the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society that goes out for 4 months every 2 weeks and takes readings on it. There's solar panels on the top. They measure temperature and dissolved oxygen, and they forward that information to the Ministry of the Environment. So we went up and down the lake, went to have a look at the bridge, although we didn't go under it because some of the boats were a little too big. But on the south side of the bridge, there is a plaque from talking about water levels, and there's a measuring stick in the water. And that was put up by the International Joint Commission from the Osoyoos Lake Board of Control. Very interesting. Couple of days, and I always learn a lot, and I've been reappointed to the board, so that's a good thing. This month, there are two things that I want to bring up, and I've talked to council about this, and we're in agreement. It's Foster Family Month, and foster families are caring, compassionate, patient, and understanding, and they do a great job of looking after our youth in different communities. The other thing is the Desert Sun, the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And what they do is foster awareness and proactive measures in helping to protect people. So we're very happy, Town of Osoyoos, to support both of those. As you know, it's Thanksgiving this weekend, so please remember to be thankful for everything that your friends, your family, our community, food for the table, and all of those. And the following weekend is October the 19th is the last day that you can vote. And certainly there are 10, 11, 12, 14, and 15, I think, are the 5 dates or 6 dates that they have. They've been sending lots of things out. There's lots of things on in the newspaper, and everybody should have got a voting card in the mail. Please make sure that you vote by October the 19th. And tomorrow, the Tourism Master Plan. There's a 10-year Tourism Master Plan that the CAO and Councillor Poderica and I are on. And there is an open house tomorrow at the museum from 3:30 to 6:30 if you want to come and give some input on that. And then we have a meeting the next day as well. And the last thing that we just got this in the mail today, the Youth Parliament of British Columbia Alumni Society. There is the British Columbia Youth Parliament. It's the 96th Parliament, is asking for young people. It's nonpartisan organization, young people ages 16 to 21, teaches citizenship skills through participation in the parliamentary session in December. And it's a 1-year commitment. It's from December 27th to 31st. It's held in Victoria. And if there are any youths that would like to take part in this, they please contact the town, and we have some information that we could provide for them. And I think that's all I had for today. And so I will move to the in-camera section of the meeting. Pursuant to Section 91 of the Community Charter, a part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to one or more of the following. 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. 91C, labor relations or other employee relations. 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are in the preliminary stages and that in the view of the council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. And 91M, a matter that under another enactment is such that the public may be excluded from the meeting under FOIPA, Section 21, 1C1, and disclosure harmful to business interests of a third party. So could we have a motion, please, too? Thank you.